solidity and interactability, because there is all this maths going on saying, okay, much to actually get the brain working. It is just a corridor of interactions and not
years without interacting with other people on a daily basis, right? It's gonna take a lot of money just to...
Admittedly, if the interaction is, hey, I'm gonna serve you up to an alien so they can eat you alive, that's probably...
can run around being like, oh, look at these adorable monsters, oh, look, oh, cute interactions, and I love it. I love it. I love this film. It's
starting to things, I'm gonna stop doing this, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna interact more with Doctor Who and game stuff, and I have interacted. It's gonna happen. You know, they had interactions with the fucking moon landings. It's gonna happen. You know, he's met Churchill. Being essentially games being non-interactive. Okay, games should be interactive. Like, if they're gonna tell a story, it's the least interacted with, it's got the least viewer interaction, you guys clearly don't like it. So, oh! When I do this, I interact with this, and I interact with that, and they aren't. All they see is, I eat. Because suddenly, the way you interact with the world isn't dependent on the guy across from you liking you. It's dependent on your...
throughout the course of your life, and has then become a radicalized ideology through interaction with people, telling them to go...
Very good. Final sequence.
Interactivity in cutscene!
I can't look.
Because there are people who are perfectly fine and healthy, but happen to think differently and interact with people differently. No more comments, no more likes, dislikes, no more interaction. You raise your head above the parapet, you get it blown the fuck off.
All the different characters and races and technologies interact. And the detail and immersion and the great wide expanse. Of course, that's the thing about games. They're interactive. They give you a sense of agency in this fictional world. Yes, games are interactive, but they're still an experience curated by artists. Now, yes,
because it's not enough to do this, to engage in an interaction with somebody else and just say, oh, you've seen the ads that play in those first 5 seconds, and you have shown that you are interacting with the content. You have shown that you are but it's very much about sort of character interactions and kind of the ambiguity of the situation. Like, I'm still got any number of other races that it interacts with, learns about, and keeps running into it. Okay, so because there is no other way to interact with people, and I'm better than that. But
listen, are you doing things with people? Or you're writing, or you are interacting, you're doing important shit. If you are someone who has your understanding of how to interact with people bred into you, or kind of, you know...
bad thing about sort of social interaction and about life in general is that there generally aren't any clear... It's not gonna change that, you know. This is human nature interacting with technology, right? We are in the age of fast information.
All that matters is interactivity. Nobody at YouTube gives a shit that your videos are disliked. It is about, you know, the logic of computers, the logic of people and interactions, the logic of like troll comment thing as a way to engage in viewer interaction, but it would just be dull. Because all it would be is, or a TV show or a book, they're non-interactive. There is a definitive canon.
Species that needs and craves and wants social interaction, but we need the right kind of social interaction. I am constantly interacting with people, constantly interacting with the world through a different presentation. Right.
And just watching these two great actors act, these two great characters interact. But then we also need to cut to kind of the bebop.
Neurotypical people, like, knowing how to socially interact is like knowing how to breathe. It's just
all the time, and that's why one-to-one interactions are so valuable. That's why I paid so much money left to me through, like, how that would ever happen, how it might ever interact with us. But I like to think about it, and I am a sci-fi writer, so I like
how delightfully awkward Spock is in this. I love Bones' interactions. I love how fucking badass Uhura is.
by then, if I don't get more likes, if it doesn't beat at least Skyrim for views and viewer interaction and stuff, then it's going. You can pause it and follow the links. You know, YouTube videos are interactive. You can go, oh, there's a link here, click, I'm gonna read that. Google's YouTube analytics, hey, this person has interacted with this video, boom, that video is rated just a little. There are times when I can feel recharged talking to people, but most of the time, social interactions are just kind of.
I update my social OS by interacting with people, and I've spent the last 2 years.
We have got 24-hour rolling news, and we are in an age where to get interaction with your friends to a very much, you know, dominant, submissive, predator, prey interaction. And, you know, it's, again, it's kind of like, you know, Charlotte is absolutely a form that he can use, the humanoid form that can allow him to interact with mortal worlds. But he also sees, I don't have to put myself in harm's way at all. I don't have to interact with anyone. I just have to fly my little robot over there.
How even basic social interactions are difficult. Right?
Colour, this shade to it. When this artificial light interacts with this, interacts with that, do this calculation, and therefore adjust the color. Very specifically had personal interactions with Alex Shaw. Someone like Matt Farr or Tom Scott, or, you know, or John. Oh, Alex, yes, your videos have gotten a lot of interactivity rating. People care about the content you produce. We're gonna make sure that.
But it does also affect the ways in which I am capable of interacting, because I am now.
But they still got some kind of currency around because you're interacting with other races, and you know, there are people
around. The views rack up, the user interactivity ratings rack up, and my place in the YouTube rankings and in the great, you don't see many Muslims around, and you've never really interact with them, and you only see white folk, and then you see two brown fucking. Somebody in Doctor Who is gonna have some fucking interaction with what went on with fucking 9/11, and because that's just a part of culture now. The ideas, you know, the way you interact with people, you know. I mean, this is partly why I am. And it's the expectation
of interactivity.
Spend alone, the harder it is, the worse my ability to interact with people gets, and it's just gonna get worse. And
Flipping an abandoned spaceship, but they've got flipping interactive entertainment. Only this is more new. When you download, it's still saying you have a user and interactivity rating. Your channel is going up. So all these people.
the problem I have is that I can work fine. I can interact with people fine. I can't make it through the interview process.
Overnight. So they're going about their daily lives interacting with people with easy access to guns. Okay? And apart from... Okay, these are creatures who aren't thinking, oh, when I do this, I interact with this, and I interact with that, and I interact with one-on-one. That you cannot expect interaction with one-on-one. If something happens, I'm gonna food fresh from the jungle, spot pink dolphins on the Amazon River, interact with members of the local community, learn the intricacies of... And he essentially builds a device called a quantum oscillator to enable him to interact with reality on UK, and you know, same procedure as on YouTube. Kind of leave comments, interact with other commenters. You know, not to have it and get the story through an audiobook, because story in video games is told for interactivity, right? It's all about, you've got this grand open link, stay for 5 seconds and leave a dislike. Then that means that you have interacted with the video. You've seen the ads that play in the geek who happens to like interacting with men and who happens to like flaunting their body with someone who has Ebola and perfectly interact fine with them. Then immediately wash your hands. Go home, back. And so therefore he never actually was taught how to navigate social interactions. He just knew how to get out of situations. Because I am autistic and it's just like, social interaction with people I don't know, I don't trust. They went out to pubs and shit, and they went out on dates, and so they interacted with women and went, oh yeah, be different. If that affects how I interact with them, then yeah, I can extrapolate that certain people social OS by interacting with people, and I've spent the last 2 years basically not interacting with people, you know. And you can see another world, and you can interact with that world. With writing, with creation, one-to-one reaction, one-to-one interaction all the time, and that's why one-to-one interactions are so valuable. The way that I can interact with people is through, you know, practice and experience and learning, right? Whether it's up or not, it all counts to user and interactivity ratings, right? It's not like I've removed your terms of not being a dick in the modern world, in that all my social interactions are conscious, because I don't have any instant think that can feel to a certain extent, and that can interact with the world and is friendly. How do you make that happen? And actually learn about the fuzzy logic of social interactions and learn about how people are guided by certain... Let's Plays are transformative because they are transforming a non-interactive medium. They're transforming an interactive... Things have been good. The ratio of shit comments to user interactivity ratings and views has been tremendously good. And just let me lose myself to the virtual reality world. Give me the Skyrim mod that lets me interact with the wives. And you don't talk to me,
we have no fucking interaction. And if that annoys you, if that upsets you,
concerning there is just people give a shit. They are interacting with your stuff. We're gonna make sure that you get boosted up the rankings. We're gonna
the characters are fun and interesting, and they interact well together, and it ties up well. This journey of watching these characters interact and build up momentum and finally see this thing through. To experience interactive media through the form of a non-interactive medium like a Let's Play, I'm going to do that. YouTube community have caused you to feel confused as to how people interact with others online. Because
you get, okay, so these are the characters and here they are interacting. It's like after the
to enable him to interact with reality to interact with the very coding of reality in order, right? Because clearly you have got good user interactivity ratings, and that's all it is.
Really a factor. They clearly have some kind of money because they interact with other races where scarcity is a factor, and they can't basically say, well,
I'm autistic, right? Every interaction is a chore. It's a difficult task because social skills are something I have to conscious. I am just doing my own thing and not fucking interacting with the world because the fucking world hurt me and I hurt action because of my video. And if you are making an interaction because of my video, that means that these advertisers are more likely to pay more money. I've got people who give a shit. I've got the intellectual interaction. I've got friends. I've got mates. I mean, my choice about how I engage with media. If I want to experience interactive media through the form of a non-interactive medium, based on your interpersonal skills, based on your ability to interact, based on your ability to sell yourself and your products, and
they tell stories through character interaction. And there is depth that can be gotten from that as well. I mean,
when it comes to matters of social interaction, so long as there is to boost the viewer interaction. Okay, so like a video, dislike a video, leave a comment. You leave a dislike, you've seen my adverts, and you have shown that you're interacting with the content. And that goes even more if you leave a because they're listening to the story, because if they do interact with anything, their sound effects might affect how it plays. And you know, a normal person, somebody who sees social interaction and social skills as the normal thing, this is terrifying. For me, it's about the intellectual interaction. For me, it's about having people who give a shit. Essentially, there is no plot, there are just characters interacting, and alright, there's a vague beginning and end point in the sense that
channel improved, by the way, by improving viewer interactivity. If you want to carefully post a comment on every video saying you are fat,
you are entitled to be annoyed, you're entitled to be angry. It's the expectation of interactivity, the expectation that this is of a fantasy. These people have a much different way to interact with the world than those who...
horrible person. That's user interactivity. Hey, someone commented on your video. We should put adverts on this video. So I get...
You see the mass amounts of commenters and interactions. You see the large scale metadata.
They can't fully interact with people properly because they have poor social skills and whatever. Can't get her through the sodding doors because the game doesn't have a different button for interact and move object.
From society, from not interacting with people, the more time I spend alone, the harder it is, the worse my...
Remember this. Google is going to remember all this interactivity, all of the links, all of the, but at the same time, we are going to be able to interact with things logically, and we are going to have probably not a feminist kind of interaction, probably not even an egalitarian kind of interaction, of that group who I otherwise would not have interacted with, I otherwise would not have trusted, or no, you have to be there and you have to interact with me because you've created something, and all coexisting within the internet and all able to interact with each other. Any one niche is going to be hated by the majority of every other niche. Probably not even an egalitarian kind of interaction. But, there are a lot of women interacting, and the gameplay experience, to remove the interactivity, and essentially the way Let's Play works is you find someone. I might be thick at certain things in social interactions, but I have experienced this. I could feel something coming. There was, bro, if you want to get over shit, right, you want to go out and interact, and you want to just a member of a group who happened to occasionally interact with people and became, almost by default,
Annotations are another way of registering viewer interactivity. So if you click a link on an annotation,
transforming an interactive medium into a non-interactive medium, and even if you do a completely,
I can research on the internet, I can spend time alone, I can go about life interacting with people as a choice. Okay, want to quit YouTube, you do not give them consistent viewer interactivity, because all that means is that when I go look at Google,
autism, but she doesn't know me. And it's very stressful to interact with her. Very stressful indeed.
What is it? My user interactivity rating, or no, that's it's all
especially if you're someone kind of shy who doesn't like interacting with people anyway, like, so you don't go to urinal stalls or whatever, like actions by essentially manipulating electromagnetic fields, which then interacts with the magnetic fields of the earth, and blah 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 blah.
My YouTube will gain more rankings, I will get more views, I will get more interactivity scores, I will go higher and higher up the ranking. I'm kind of thick when it comes to social interactions, so I'm not so good at that. I'm not so good at distinguishing, okay, this is a time that I can ignore, right? Because I need to be able to go to Facebook to interact with my actual friends. And I care about the characters. I care about how they interact with each other.
Essentially how people in society interact with each other and get thoroughly pissed off with each other.
And to a certain extent, this is a problem that I face when it comes to interacting with my audience, because it's like,
then that video gets rated as a higher interactivity, and so what you can only do a few external links, and one of them is the no comment, because it's interaction, it's, oh, you give a shit, Wow, amazing. About the ratios of bad viewer interaction to good viewer interaction. All Google cares about is that my channel from bad viewer interaction to good viewer interaction, I have brought that bad viewer interaction. But you know what, guys? Google, people on the internet who insult me, but certainly from my friends or people I interact with in person, it's
much more real to me. In the sense that so much of my interaction with people is through
you're having to compete with a whole school of people who I interacted with on a daily basis, and
okay. But in general, social interactions are stressful and tiring. And what it seeks to do is turn an interactive media into non-interactive media. In the sense that with female biology and a desire to have a humanoid biology to interact with females, but at the same time, right? A dislike is still a user and interactivity rating, right? It can be. So instead, I'm going to use the internet to interact with people who I do have things in common with, and that's kind of the world we live in. So give him tons of views, give him tons of interactivity rating, soar him up through the things, give him better ratings. Everybody, we must much different, more optimistic time of my life, and this is why kind of politics starts to interact with kind of there, and you have to interact with me because you've created something, and that means you have to interact with me. No, I don't. Last 2 years, not interacting with anybody else, and therefore my practice, and I'm out of practice. I'm out of. But there are a lot of women interacting, and they're importantly also there are women
areas of their mouth and how it's created through the interaction of the different parts of our throat and our tongues and teeth and
subatomic particles that are kind of orbiting around each other, interacting with each other, sometimes popping into existence
for some kind of social interaction. There's some kind of feeling that I am not going to die cold and alone.
Where they show you a story and pretend to give you interactivity and control. That's not to say that there are. I realize that I'm not the best person in the world when it comes to jokes, when it comes to interacting with people. I realize that I can be a great. They're transforming an interactive medium into a non-interactive medium, and that is a service, And equally, they want personal interaction. They want one-on-one interaction, and it's reaching the point whereby they do have this Facebook fan page now, so I can actually talk to my fans and interact with them and say, hey, political. Like, for him, that people and social interactions are almost like machines. Not breeds entitlement, but breeds an expectation of interactivity. Because
what a network, because it basically says estimated earnings 0. Like, in terms of viewer interaction, my Minecraft videos are probably the best.
The social, who needs the social prosthesis can interact with it, but also so that it can essentially listen.
Through writing this and sort of interacting with people through doing this, is that I'm
in society is by having the caffeine and the energy to sort of interact with people at all. And that's actually, I can't hope to possibly understand them if my interactions with them are so biased.
Because they are so used to knowing implicitly how to interact with people that if they don't, they can't compute it. They can't.
That's a lot of views, it's a lot of interactivity ratings, and yet I've still been keeping in touch with the
Look at Google saying, is this working? Oh, this video's got lots of viewer interactivity. Oh, this video's got lots of views. This video's got
and that can be held and that can interact with the world physically. Right? Well, okay, I suppose interaction,
a frame and a filter. And I am constantly interacting with people, constantly interacting with the world of what people are doing. Plays into this. Because, I mean, the actual interacting with the city-states, that was fun. The early game, the mid-game, that's fun. Sort of the interactions and stuff are not... It's not so clearly, you know, defined as all the...
there are a lot of women who are, you know, interacting a lot. Admittedly, if the interaction is, hey,
about growth hormone deficiency, but because autistic people think differently and interact differently as a result, oh my...
that I cannot interact with one-on-one, that you cannot expect interaction with one-on-one.
No, but we're giving you negative viewer interaction. That isn't a bad thing, because even the big channels have...
I know that when a fan created a group for me to interact with my fans, and I ended up deciding that it was...
And without really giving a shit about the need for social interaction, I was just myself, and I need social interaction in order to not degenerate into a fucking...
The views have been good, the user interactivity ratings have been good, the ratio of shit comments
continues outwards. And the more fans, you know, decide to interact and what have you.
But we need the right kind of social interaction, and if we don't get it, it fucks us up.
With Doctor Who and game stuff, and I have interacted more with, you know, like the Jimquisition group and stuff like this, so that I get more.
On one hand, yay, it helps my views, yay, it's interaction helps my SEO, but on the other hand,
that there is this whole sensory world that is going on around you of social interaction, all this data flowing back and forth.
Whilst the value of it is determined by user and interactivity ratings, i.e. subscribers, views, percentage watch, total of likes and dislikes,
the internet, because they don't understand how to interact with it, really, for me, strikes me as idiotic. Okay, I genuinely think I have
a point to make, you know. I want to see how the characters interact, you know, or even, you know, on bad days.
But yeah, if you want to help out for that, you can leave comments, interact over there, share. People are watching the video, they are interacting with it, so therefore the YouTube stuff goes up.
Give some level of, you know, animacy that this doesn't have, but it can be interacted with, right?
About them enough to keep watching, keep downvoting, and keep interacting with them, even when I'm no longer making videos.
It's all about getting YouTube to recognize your user interactivity ratings and boost you up the thing. So yes.
people who know social interaction implicitly, instinctually, don't transforming a non-interactive medium. They're transforming an interactive medium into a non-interactive medium. And that...
I need to play a video game. I need to write a thing. I need to interact with this visual world and just tear the shit out.
I am attracting more subscribers, I am attracting more viewers, I am getting more interactivity ratings, my videos are getting more views, I'm making...
You know, engaged, and that you are, you know, making an interaction because of my video. And if you are making an interaction because of my video, that
environment in which you are within it, walking around it, interacting with it, not just using a controller before a screen. They serve as an analogy for sexism in society and how they interact with, you know, men.
And you know, when you struggle to interact with people who think this different way, so much of the time I had a whole load of political things that I interacted with, and so basically I trained Facebook. I am a moron who doesn't understand basic interaction, and the way that kind of Eddie Redmayne's Newt Scamander.
And yes, okay, percentage-wise, from bad viewer interaction to good viewer interaction, I have more that bad viewer
Fits shit together. The fact that I am even capable of interacting at all is because my person involved who knows how to interact with you. Like, motherfucker, if I can't understand, if I can't deal with the stress of this
and essentially the reason that we feel like this can be touched and hit and interacted with is because, like, you guys get to know me through watching my videos or interacting with things, you know, obviously with all these necessary steps in between, but more user interactivity rating, because a dislike is, hey, somebody interacted with your video. Someone, you know, doing wrong. I don't know how to explain to her that she can't interact with me in that way and expect things to be okay. Other condition that has damaged my ability to interact with people. I've got, I have to keep taking pills in order to live.
This video's got lots of views. This video's got comments. This video's got lots of viewer interactivity. When you try to crush me, all you do is around a key issue with regards to social interaction. Obviously I can't go into that too much because
to have the sort of social network interaction without loading up my 50 tabs, and therefore, you know, making the computer run slow. This is why kind of politics starts to interact with kind of how the writing develops, right? Because
much less of a dialogue. There is much less interaction, and of course that's the thing about games, is distractions with things like Let's Plays and podcasts, and interacting with people is a fundamentally draining explanation. The essential core, logical code as to how all this shit interacts with every other bit of shit.
You're not translating social interaction to a human level, you know. What you are doing is translating social...
have a fuck ton of characters that the woman interacts with and just never say anything.
Don't give a shit about them, you know. It's just like, well, I could interact with you, but I've got nothing in common with you, so instead, and so you feel too much, and at the same time you don't know how to properly interact with people, so therefore I will destroy you all.
so I get more views. So I get more user interactivity rating, because a dislike is
Good views, good user interactivity ratings. And genuinely, right? It doesn't matter whether you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Let's Plays are about the personality. They are transforming an interactive medium into a non-interactive medium. And even if I'm not gonna get, but yeah, it's stressful to interact with her, and only means so much to have those 10 seconds of one-on-one interaction with the creator if you are a fan. Physically, right? Well, okay, I suppose interaction gives some level of, animacy that this doesn't have, but it can be these characters have angst, and we'd like to see them interact, but if you are going to adapt,
you know what, fine, you add to my views, you add to my comments, you add to my viewer interactivity rating, that's okay.
Like, ilk to play that game at that time. So it's a snapshot of an interactive medium. And okay, games should be interactive. Like, if they're gonna tell a story, games should be about you. At this point, make a circuit board whereby the different aspects can interact three-dimensionally. They are just... It still doesn't work like yours, because autism is a fucking spectrum. And because the way my autism interacts with Kalman syndrome and growth hormone deficient, and respect the fan creator roles, but no, they want personal interaction. They want one-on-one interaction.
There isn't so much going on. It's generally just kind of, oh, people in a house interacting, oh, mild shenanigans.
Experience the rest of the story and what have you. But nonetheless, because it is interactive, there is a limitation in terms of fan kind of stuff, of just like, and here's a multiverse of interactivity with different key events in comic stuff, and it's like,
it's boring. It's boring for me to commentate, and you guys, it's the least interacted with. It's got the least viewer interaction. You guys